Well, it seems like we're live. Let me just take a look here real quick. Yeah, I believe we are. All right. Let me just take a look here real quick. And I know it's only me watching, but I thought I would go ahead and spend a little time thinking out loud, as it were, because I've got time. And you know what? I probably should do the smart thing and throw out a link. Hey, Jacob. And well, I guess if I'm going to broadcast, I should probably be a little bit more talkative. But I'm kind of trying to pull stuff here and getting my thoughts together. The reason why I'm doing this and I'm doing this out loud is because I usually do my best thinking when I'm talking out loud. And just so people don't think that I'm talking to myself or, well, if nothing else, um, think that I'm completely insane. I'm doing it here. So uh, just to get things out of the way, um, Sisyphus and I have been running for about 2 months. No, actually, we've been running exactly 2 months worth of shows, and had a lot of fun. And I literally have to place the total blame on him for me actually getting into doing a live show. He asked, and I jumped in with both feet, and I had a good time. I really enjoyed myself. Sisyphus is a stand-up guy. I like what he do, um, but we just got to talking recently, and I know sometimes priorities will change in life, and I know he's recently had some family things going on, and I'll be I'll be honest with you. We we basically just amicably decided, hey, I'll go my way and you go your way. So you can keep your rhythm and I'll keep mine. So that's not necessarily a bad thing because we're both going to be doing what we're going to be doing. And from the encouragement of my wife and some other friends, they decided, hey, might as well go ahead and broadcast. I um, Old story. I used to be a broadcaster a long time ago. Back when people on the radio were called DJs. So it's been one of those. Hey, Merc. It's been one of those things where I always knew how to do it, and I think honestly that was one of my few benefits that I actually gave to Sisyphus was the fact that it was something that was already in my toolkit, so I knew how to do that. So yeah, I used to do radio when it was like you just heard Black Sabbath, War Pigs. Coming up later, Rush, and of course we also have a little sample for you from the guys over in Ireland. A little bit of you too, and we'll have all that coming on the next commercial. Doing all that stuff. Yeah. You're listening to 102.9 www, the chronic stutterer's favorite channel. So where are you going to get your rock? Ooh, of course. But anyway, so this is my thinking aloud session. Um, what I'd like to do is just figure out. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be running on Thursdays. I don't want to conflict with Sisyphus at all because that's his time slot. That's his jam. Tuesdays at 8. I encourage anybody and everybody to go ahead and listen. He's going to have some great guests, which, are going to be focused on essentially what he likes to talk about. I know there's going to be some good people coming up. Now, this week, this Tuesday, as a matter of fact, he is having on Ian Miles Chong. And that's one that he set up. So you will see Rolling with Sisyphus Tuesdays at 8 p.m. And Ian Miles Chong's going to be on. I have no idea what they're going to talk about, but if it's Ian Miles Chong, then it's definitely going to be interesting. And there we go. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to do some other tech stuff here. I didn't know that it did that. That it popped up with. I started a live stream, and I still haven't figured out how to change the bloody backgrounds yet. So, yeah, you're getting the title card from our previous show, which I'm completely cool with. Yeah, Merc, my whole deal with jumping on board with Sisyphus was he came to me with hey, let's do something that's not blood sports. Let's do something where it's not, 50 people yelling at each other in a room trying to make a point when nobody's listening to the other. Only thing they're trying to do is just put themselves over. And I've been involved with wrestling for a time or two, and the one thing that I realized is the only person who can ever put you over is your opponent. So if you're not working towards common goal, then you're basically just dicking around in front of an audience. And the only people who are really enjoying it, unless blood is being drawn, are the people who are trying to make themselves look better. There are way too many young people out there acting as, the best thing I can describe it as is a Google Scholar, where they're smart just because they can jump into a search engine and pull the facts that they need to semi-support what they're talking about. A little drink of water. But yeah, I mean, it seems like a natural progression. If anybody ever wanted to dox me, they could go back and find. I did a radio show, about 10 years ago. Nah, I like Google Ninja too. That's pretty cool. I went back about 10 years ago, and I was running a show off Blog Talk Radio, and we got a lot of good guests on. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. And I interviewed a lot of people. They came from the movie industry, the music industry, people who make independent films, actors, writers, pretty much anybody that I thought would be fascinating. And I did that for about a year, and I really kind of enjoyed it, but I think anybody who's on the interwebs right now and who was on the interwebs, you know, all that long time ago, 10 years, knows how incredibly bad the technology was. I mean, literally, it was. We had a Blog Talk Radio was set up to where you have a panel. People call into it like an old school switchboard. And you could have up to 4 people calling in at any given time. And, you still have like the kind of mute features and all that fun stuff. And the worst thing was you had no availability to pot somebody up or down. You couldn't really talk to anybody and control their volume. They had to leave. If they were dialing in on a crappy phone, then it was however good their service was or wasn't. And it really was one of the things where I got a year in and I'm just like, God, the tech is so bad. It's miserable. I hate doing this stuff. It sounds like one of those phone calls that you'd hear that was recorded on Unsolved Mysteries where they're listening to a prison conversation, and it drove me nuts. And I just decided, might as well just give it up and go do something else. And I did for quite a while. Matter of fact, that was about the time where I decided, well, screw it, I'm just going to make a movie. And I did make an independent movie, which got me in with some others. And I mean, if you're really interested, you can find me. If you find my real name, you can find me in a couple of very, very low-grade D movies. And I'm not going to kid you, they're bad. They are bad, and I'm not going to say that my acting was any good. I don't think anything could elevate them, but horrible. 3 words. Woo! So, anyway, the reason why I'm on is I'm trying to figure out what to name the show. I'm pretty much set on the fact that I'll be running on Thursdays. One thing I don't want to do is run up against anybody like Gulf City. I really like their stuff, and besides, I would rather be a fan and sit back and listen to them. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday are definitely out. I'm not a fan of running on weekends either. Usually it's easier to book a guest if you book them during a weekday. And somebody had previously asked me before I went on air, what's it going to look like for whatever I'm naming the show. I'm thinking of naming it something like pop culture psychiatry, something like that. I don't know. Brain's kind of burnt some pretty weak on names currently. I could always call it Doc Griffin's House of Taiwanese Ladyboys. I'm sure that one's not been taken. But yeah, Sisyphus made the call that for Ian, he's going to go ahead and roll solo from then on. So you will hear Rolling with Sisyphus on Tuesdays. He's going to be running at 8 p.m. And as far as God, I hate using the word funny story. When we used to DJ, there was a sign up in front of the mic that was on the mic stand. that said, no 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 exceptions. And I'll be honest with you, that thing really helped. You're sitting there staring into your mic, talking, you reading copy or whatever it is, or, you know, trying to ride yourself through the break, and you look up and there's that no 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 exceptions. It helps. Now, just to come forward, we've got I did it again. I damn it. We've got we had a month of shows booked before we did the split, and I'll be off a week. So the 29th will be Ian Miles Chong. The first one for Doc Griffin's show is going to end up being Beard Burying. And then we have Harry Manfredini coming up, and then Kyle Abear. I do have to make sure, though. I know I'm rolling. I had to pull the trigger. I know I'm rolling on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. I have to get a hold of these gentlemen, though, because flipping from Tuesday to Thursday might present a problem for them. If it does, I would honestly let let in order to not burn the booking, I would rather let Sisyphus take the booking than lose the guest. But we've already talked to we talked to quite a few people. The situation, a little bit of BTS. Both Sisyphus and I shared the booking, so we would talk to people that we thought were interesting, pursuing them, and it's a 50-50 split as far as guests that had come on to Rolling with Sisyphus. So that worked out really well. And so the load was equally shared. And I like that fact that we were able, BTS, to say, okay, this is what we want to do. Well, who do you want to talk to? And then it was, well, who do you want to talk to? So we all got it together. And when you've got two people running the book, it usually is a lot easier. So he was able to rope in guests. I was able to rope in guests. Now, I'll be honest, I'm the kind of person who kind of likes to talk to people that are a little bit outside the sphere of influence of YouTube. People who, well, for lack of a better word, are influential in IRL. Basically somebody that you'd like to talk to if you're literally, wanting to know something about a subject or just a fascinating take. And I was shooting high. Sisyphus had already developed relationships with some of the online people, some of the YouTubers. And so that was a great resource for him to pull from, whereas mine were, one foot in, one foot out. So I decided to go with going after people that we probably weren't going to get. But my grandfather always told me, the worst thing that can happen if you ask is they say no, and sometimes they say yes. Right now, I'm talking to a couple of wrestlers. Some of them some of the names you might know, some of the names you might not know. We're running 80s guys. We're running some 90s. I have a couple of friends who still work on or around JCW. So some up and comers. And of course, and howdy to you, Jack D. Ripper. And of course, we've got some, well, there are people that I've always wanted to talk to. And I think they're interesting enough to carry a conversation for 2 hours. I've actually sent uh, I've actually sent correspondence to not only some scientists but also to some athletes, a couple of basketball favorites of mine. Sent some out to some wrestlers. Sent some out to some rock musicians. Um, and just a variety. People who I think would be a whole lot of fun to talk to. Something that you guys can put on in the background to pass the time. Or maybe even if it's a person that you enjoy, be able to ask them a question via the show. I know one of the big ones that I'm trying to get on, which I probably won't be able to, is the artist Drew Struzan. If you don't know what the name is, he did pretty much every great 80s and 90s movie poster that you've ever seen. He did Star Wars, he did Raiders of the Lost Ark, he did Back to the Future. As a matter of fact, if you ever saw the movie The Mist, the opening character, the lead character that's being played by what's his name, Thomas. I don't remember his name. Damn it, he played Punisher too. Anybody can help me out there? Nobody. Okay, that's gonna drive me nuts. I gotta bring in my my YouTube academic skills. And let's see here. Now it's a 2000. Thomas Jane. Oh my God, that made my brain feel better. Yes, Thomas Jane. The character that Thomas Jane played was actually based. Um, they made him a movie poster artist based on the affection that Frank Darabont had for Drew Struzan. As Darabont's always said, he's like, I don't care what movie that I make, as long as Drew Struzan is alive, I want him to do the poster. And literally the Dark Tower poster that Thomas Jane is supposedly painting at the beginning of The Mist, that is a Drew Struzan painting. And a lot of the paintings that are in that room while they're doing the intro credits, those are Drew Struzan's. And I'd love to get him on, but he's in his 70s, so yes, he is a boomer. But he's such a talented guy. To see somebody make that kind of effort is really fascinating, and I think that can hold an audience's attention. Also, I've been bear with me here for a second. I've also sent out invitations to, and afternoon, hey man, nice shot. I tell you what, if you guys are not bored, I might actually send out the link if you all want to jump on. This is because I enjoy seeing people in the chat, and I love people helping me think through these things because it's driving me insane to figure out a name for the new show. And I'm sure I'll get to it. I was in marketing for years, so I'm sure I'll figure it out, but it never helps to have some fan interaction. Um, quick story behind the scenes. Hardcore Carlos wants to do his own wrestling channel. He wants to do his own wrestling stream. And we were talking about it. I know most of you know that I will throw art to people occasionally because the only thing I'm doing is compositing stuff enough, changing it enough to where it can be used and you can't be sued or struck for it. And he was talking about, well, I'm trying to think of, what kind of name that I want to do. And, I don't want to do, hardcore Carlos wrestling talk or whatever it is. And I'm like, well, if you really want to be edgy, how about naming the stream Hanging with Benoit? I'll wait for a minute for that to sink in. Yes, I know that's cruel. And he even asked, he was like, well, what if that's going to draw fire? And I'm like, well, theoretically, you could make a Benoit of the month. I know there's, what is it, Benoit Mendelot, the physical scientist. There's a there's a skater, a hockey player. There's also a very famous basketball player. So, I mean, if you really want to avoid the groans or the people shaking a finger at you, see, now that would be good. You know, a number one dad, and it comes with like that on the handle. It's got like a little cord on it, like soap on a rope has, to where you can hang the mug up. There are so many commercial possibilities. And I'm trying to see if I can pull this up in my Google Hangout, because I have come up with a little bit of art for it. So yeah, here, I'll give you guys a quick preview. Where's it at? There we go. Screen share. And so that's what I've been working on right now. Using that little thing that I came up with and keeping that as the lobby card for our guests around the just above the marquee screen, or the lighted setup. It's going to be the person's head, and then of course down at the bottom I'll label the yeah, I really do need that sign. Drive me insane. I'll have the time slot listed. But yeah, that's a little show to what I'll be doing. And no, I don't use Photoshop. I don't use Adobe, but I do use well, here's the quick story. Jask made Paint Shop Pro. And if you ever get the chance to play with Jask Paint Shop Pro, you'll see that a lot of the features that Adobe has, Jask had. Now, here's the curious thing. Adobe did not have that for Photoshop. They saw what Jask was doing and bought the company out like, I think, 8 or 9 years ago. They bought them out, took all the features that were in Jask, PSP, and incorporated all of those into theirs. Now, they've since expounded on that, but here's the thing. You can download Jask Paint Shop Pro 7.0, which was the last version, for free on the internet. It don't cost you nothing. And it's not illegal. They just basically hung it out there in the wind. And if you want to come get it, you can. I recommend it to anybody who's a complete electronic artist idiot. You know, you want to do stuff, but you really just don't know how to do it. Jask will treat you right. They won't make you feel like an idiot. And you know what? I think, oh, man, I'm trying to figure out whether or not I've got you guys on my DM. If you guys are interested in if anyone's interested in coming on, do me a favor and bang me a DM to the Twitters, and I will kick you the link, and you can come on and have fun. But yeah, a lot of, I don't know, things that really fascinate me. I mean, okay, I will admit, you know, I was listening to Tonka, you know, when he started the early morning show, and there was only um, a couple hundred people at the most watching. I think we all filtered over from Grapple Vision. I'm a wrestling fan, so it just seemed natural. But when Internet Blood Sports became just this shrieky spurging, I was done with it. I was done, and done. Especially when Meadowcast hit, no more. Meadowcast came, and I was hoping there would be mass seppuku, because all of those people really needed to kill themselves. It was just, it wasn't even a good shit show. After a while, people just got bitchy. Nobody was listening to anybody else. Everybody else was swinging their dicks around. And it wasn't that they were trying to make content entertaining. It was essentially they were trying to be king of shit mountain. And I just had enough. Also, the mutation, I won't call it an evolution, but the mutation, where it went from Tonka's channel to Failure's channel, I was okay with. I I'll be honest with you. Redacted, I didn't even listen to it. Ralph's a nice guy and everything. I've talked to him maybe once, maybe twice, and his content, for the most part, once they start, when they ring the bell and the rumble starts, then I'm out of there. I don't really need to listen to it. I know Jim's having a great time watching the world burn, and I don't mind it either, but it gets to a point where it's jumped the shark, and I'm done. I'm old enough to literally have seen the Fonz jump the shark and know that physical representation and know how bad and how cringy it is. And I'm done. I'm just done with blood sports. I don't like to fight anybody. I know last night or night before, Diogenes and myself were talking about nationalism and immigration. And I mean, we kind of started getting a little bit out of hand because I and Diogenes is a very smart gentleman. He's very statistically inclined, whereas because I've been on the planet so long, I pull things from personal experience. I do practical application with the things that I've seen. And that puts me at odds, especially with the millennials and zillennials that are running rampant on YouTube, spouting doctorate in policy. And I can't handle them. So that was another reason why we created Rolling with Sisyphus. You know, let's talk to some people who are interesting. You know, let's not talk to people with big chips on their shoulders and something to prove. Let's talk to people who've already proven stuff. And, you know, we actually got we got around to it, talking to a few people. Um, I I really had a good time talking with Justin Smith, Ghastly. I enjoyed the hell out of talking to Aiden, even though I was completely out of my intellectual level. It was like me trying to shout up and have a conversation with somebody who's on the fifth story while I'm laying in the bushes on the ground level. But she was very nice, and I did not feel stupid. Oh, wait a minute! Somebody done fucked up. Somebody sent me a DM. Someone tried to drag him in. All right, you got your invitation. Come in, you bastard. So yeah, I do want to make sure too that we're squashing any bullshit um, uh, for the rolling with Sisyphus. We both had a nice long conversation and literally decided to say, yeah, let's go our own ways. So it was very amicable. I have no complaints with the time that I spent, and I honestly think Sisyphus would agree as well. I'm I'm just I'm just dysfunctional enough to believe that I can pull something off. But the more I got back to it, the more I got into the groove. Um, I enjoyed the hell out of it. Um, I like broadcasting. It's something I can do. And if any of you know anything about me, I've been housebound for about 4 years. I've had several series of strokes. That's why every so often you might hear me lisp um, or stammer on words, but that's just because brain done been broken and I needed something to do. I did spend quite a bit of time in um, the ATC community, the artist trading cards community drawing. But after my last couple of TIAs, which are mini strokes, it basically took the availability of any type of dexterity that I had with my dominant drawing hand. So, unless I'm going to splash canvas like Jackson Pollock, then yeah, it ain't going to happen. And I don't like Jackson Pollock anyway. I think he got away with murder. And I have sent out a couple of links to the Hangout. Uh, you know, uh, hey man, it does suck, but I tell you what, it's literally, and my grandfather was the man. He lived till he was 93 years old. Um, I think he was the first 60-year-old man to ever get the penis pump because uh, sex was a good thing, and he wanted to keep doing it. And he was a pastor and a minister for about 65 years, I think, 65, 70 years of his life. And his one big lesson to me was it makes no difference how many times you get knocked down, you got to get back up. Because even if you're, bloody, bent, and bowed, the moment you get back up, you've already proved to yourself that it's going to take more than what just happened to take you out. Brilliant guy. And he was country learned, as people would call it around this area. His daddy was a bootlegger, and he actually quit school. I think it was around because he was raised in the Depression. His daddy wasn't of much help, so he literally quit school in 6th grade and went out and got a job. Kept working. One of those atypical people who come through the world wars when the baby boomers are doing, two cars in every garage, chicken in every pot, and he became factory assembly worker for most of his life. Once he got the calling, he decided to devote the rest of his life to God. And he was always a great example. He never failed to fail, but he never failed to get back up as well. And that was the most important lesson. I remember I was over at his house one night. He was canning green beans. And I don't know if he actually really even needed green beans, but it was just the whole thing of something to do. Because, well, he was a big wrestling fan too. Wrestling wasn't on, so he needed something to do. So we snapped beans. He had a whole bunch of them, started canning them. Now, there was something wrong with the seal on the pressure cooker that he was using. The pressure cooker exploded. I was not in the room. I was out of the room at the time. We hear a big boom. We come back in. We see my grandfather on the floor, covered in searing green beans. Looked a whole hell of a lot like, somebody who just swam in a creek that has leeches. That's what they looked like, little green leeches. And they burned his skin. He actually had scars from it. And the first thing he said, he looked over at me and my mom. He looked over and said, "Well, guess I won't do that again." And that was it. It wasn't the, "Oh my God, I'm burned, pity me," Throw me some coach coin. It was literally, hey, I guess I got fucked up. Guess I got to get back up. Oh well, show must go on. He did end up that night after Grandma bandaged him up a bit. He did go to what was it? I think it was a Kmart or Woolworths, whatever was open back then in that day, and bought himself a brand new pressure cooker. Finished cooking finished canning beans that night, and then he tried to make me eat beets, and I puked. By the way, one's in the chat. Is there anybody out there who really enjoys eating beets? Really? Really, Merc? If you want to get a vegetable that's as close to flavored dirt as possible, then it's got to be that. Let's see here. And there we go. Okay. I needed to get back to that for a moment. Um, yeah, like I said, if there's anybody out there who'd just like to jump in and shoot the shit, you are certainly welcome. Just DM me on the Twitters, mate, and I will. I'll get you on. Mm. And yeah, I do have to thank all the people have been that have been pulling me on to their streams. Um, I've made a lot of special guest appearances lately, which I didn't think would actually happen. But you know, uh, I like to talk to people about things. If I have any type of information that can coincide with whatever their topic is, then I'm glad to come on. I know it's tough if you're running by yourself, especially if you are the only host, you don't have a co-host. It can be a bitch to pull through a 1 or 2 hour show. As a DJ, I was literally talking probably about 5, maybe 6 minutes, because you got records to spin. Now back then they weren't records; they had moved on to carts. I don't know if anybody's ever played with carts, but yeah, carts are fun. They are literally 8-track tapes. I don't care what anybody says. They're literally 8-track tapes with whatever song is popular, and you have a shit ton of these carts. And what happens is you put it in, it automatically cues. It goes start to finish. You got to run the fades on it, but then you pull it from the cart machine. You put it into another cart machine, which allows it to rewind, and then you put it back on the shelf. But, we usually had, 15 or 20 of the most popular songs. And we had a printout. Now, this is before the days when they literally left it to the computers to figure out what to play. and when you actually could take a request from somebody calling in. That is really not the case anymore. But Merc, let me check. I haven't closed my DMs. They should be open. Are you typing it in correctly? Let me see here. I think you might have followed me. If that in fact is the case, then I'll bounce from your follow. Okay, matching. And well, I think it would help if I Jeez, a Pete's. Copy the damn link. There we go. Technology sucks. All right. Set all your papers, Merc. And Jack, if you want to pop in too, I can kick you a link. It's up to you. Unless you prefer to be voyeur on this happiest of Memorial Day weekends. That's a good thing because, nobody's really paying attention to us, so we can pretty much do what we want. But yeah, I started this one just because of the fact that Sisyphus and I have gone ahead and split on the show. He will be continuing for those who came in late. He will continue his show. And let's be honest, it was always his show. His name was on it. Now, this is not to start any shade. His name was on it. He offered more than once to put a co-hosting line. And I said, well, no, because it's really your show. I'm doing the Ed McMahon thing. Besides, that might give me a little more clout, but it will kind of interfere with the drinking that I intend on doing during every show.
I'll drink to that.
So, that's the kind of thing. And hey, Merc, welcome. How you doing?
Not too bad. Working on a lot of stuff in the background here. I've got a ton of cameras and crap charging currently. I've got a ton of firmware updates I need to work on. I'm getting my drone up in the air today. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to get some footage. I finally decided I got to hammer down. I got to get it done. I've been talking to people in the community for the longest time. And my content is not going to line up with anybody else's. It's not going to be strictly political or feminist reputations or blood sports or anything like that. It's going to be similar to a slice of life. And I think there's a lot of people out there that would probably find some things that I do interesting. I mean, hell, I'm enraptured by your recollections of your the old life of the radio broadcasting and all that fun things.
Yeah, I've done a lot of silly shit, and it'll come up in conversation occasionally. But now you said cameras, and you also said drone.
Yeah.
So are you gonna do flights during the streams?
I could set it up to do something like that. I've been looking into a lot of that. Being able to live stream flights. I've tried a lot of stuff in my channel's in beta, shall we say. I've done a lot of live streams on Facebook. I've refined my OBS broadcasting skills through Facebook. I've tested live streaming video games, things like that. But I've never really done like an actual show. Like this has all been, how do I tweak this? How do I make this look polished? How do I make this look good?
Well, it's literally I can say this because I've had a little bit of experience. I'm certainly no Gary Owens or Howard Stern, but as long as you have a basic format, what you want to accomplish. And I don't know if you've had any military experience, but if you've got a goal or an objective, every time your squad leader comes out and goes, "Hey, all right, this is what we're going to be doing." That's exactly the same attitude that you need. Exactly.
Plans always. What's the old term? Shit, I haven't heard that. Plans always fall apart upon contact with first contact with enemy. That's exactly what happened to me. I just got bogged down with work, and now I finally got some time off. I've taken the last month off of my second job. I've had the last week off. I've had some guests in the house, some content creators who have really been encouraging me to get into the market, not the market, but you know what I mean, but the content creation. And I have to take their advice. I mean, when everybody's advice lines up and says all you have to do is just produce your first video and see where that takes you, people will follow you, and people enjoy seeing how people's content progresses as they go along.
Well, did you ever hear our first show with Rolling with Sisyphus?
I actually haven't. I was introduced when Aiden was in house, and she broadcast from this office here.
Oh, because it was a literal clusterfuck. As a matter of fact, we got hit. Somebody passed out the link and gave it to not only Clowntown, but the Anime Mafia.
Whoops.
And they flooded in, and it was so funny because I just kept typing over in chat, "You need to kill the link, Sisyphus. Kill the link."
See, that's one of the things I've been proofing myself against is I have multiple monitors, and I know this is the working monitor. This is the running monitor. This is the monitor that everything that is off screen is going to be showing. So I have like a major setup here. So this is, I should be able to, if I never do a live stream, they'll never see the second desktop, which is where I'll be posting any kind of links, anything like that, any sensitive information. OPSEC.
So I guess you're going to be running OBS then.
For some, there's going to be maybe some live shows. There's no set format yet. That's the thing. That's the problem I have right now. There is no set format. This is all still in brainstorm session, but I'm going to post something out there now. Not now, but like June 1st is my hit date. I'm going to have my first video published on June 1st, regardless of what happens. So
now you won't be live streaming. You're just going to be doing videos.
I'll be doing both. I'll be doing live stream videos, maybe even live streaming of me making the video or getting the content done. I've got everything set up to do just about everything. It's kind of low grade. I mean, I'm only operating with a DJI Mavic Pro and 2 GoPros. So, oh, I also have my camera phone. My camera phone is able to operate. I mean, it's a Samsung Galaxy S7. That's not too bad, I guess.
Well, I only have 2 cameras that don't even have CCD chips in them. So,
Ooh. Oh,
you
the
know,
good stuff. The good stuff. Like my
yeah.
father's old Canon he had with the
Uh,
telescopic zoom lens and everything.
it's funny because the 2 Panasonics that I bought, I originally bought them to make an independent film. Because I was around the community that were just like, hey, we know he can act. Let's throw him in. And I saw what they were doing, and I'm like, well, shit, I could do this. So we actually did make a movie. It was a story about drunken superheroes versus zombies.
That sounds that's a hell of a concept there.
Oh yeah, I wrote it, I directed it. I stayed out of I stayed away from the front of the camera unless there was some fucked up shit to be happening, like one of the superheroes' powers was projectile vomiting. So
So,
I was a zombie who got vomited on. Also got my ear ripped off. Um, oh god, basically anything that was nasty that was happening happened to me. I volunteered as the stunt zombie.
this reminds me of some of the films that I did I did about a year and a half of working as a theater technician, and I've seen some really fun concepts come out of the theater community. It reminds me very heavily of some of the things I've been asked to perform in, and I never really did it. I never really got my feet wet on it. I'm kind of regretting that now, but
Well, one of the movies that I did, and this movie you could actually buy in one of those Walmart 12 packs. Um, because it's literally just content filler. It is a horrible fucking movie. And this guy, he shot it line for line. He shot
oh jeez,
everything in order from scene 1 to end scene.
that usually never works.
No, but he paid like 50K to an editor to put it all together.
Jeez Louise,
And,
that's rough.
oh, it was bad. The only thing that was pretty awesome with it was that there was a buddy of mine who ran a gun shop.
Oh, sounds
So,
like me.
so I got to fire a Kalashnikov, which was nice. Got to fire an AK, and we got to pop a couple mortar rounds.
Where's my AK go? I think it's in the other room. Yeah, I've got more guns than I know what to do with, and that's another thing. I wanted to maybe produce some gun related content. I've got I don't know, I'm sitting on about 40 guns right now, including a Barrett 50 cal. I don't know what the hell to do though. I mean,
Well,
people
you
live
can certainly
vicariously
get
through.
you can certainly get the shine from Sinutra for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I'm trying to get his ass up here. He's I don't know, like he's always busy.
Well,
I don't blame the man, but you know,
Ohio is a black hole.
yes, it is. I just drove through that 3 4 times this past week.
Yep.
Good
Once you get
God.
in, it's hard as hell to get out. And good afternoon, Numbskull. Glad you could join us for us talking literally about nothing and everything all at once.
Seinfeld was a show about nothing. It ran for many seasons.
I hate Seinfeld. I will
So I
use
but
I will use Seinfeld in my memes occasionally, but I just really didn't like it.
it's still, you know, I don't know if it was award winning, but it ran forever. It ran forever. There was interest. People would still watch it. So regardless, it still had some pull. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I would rather enjoy myself watching reruns of Married with Children.
Oh, that was great. That was
I used to
uh,
have a No Ma'am shirt. that that was pretty awesome. I like how it, because really there was never any, that I don't think there was ever any struggle in Seinfeld. It was all pretty much a lot of paper tigers.
More or less.
You know how they dealt with insane situations that rarely, if ever, happen.
Yeah, this was that was like the standard sitcom format was you present a problem, and by the end of the episode, it's resolved. And that's how a lot of sitcoms have a lot of their success. I mean, you look at like other sitcoms. I mean, they have running plots that have like character arcs and whatnot. But Seinfeld was more of a vignette. I don't know if that's the proper word I'm looking for, but it was, here's this day. This is what happened this day, and this is how they resolved it that day.
Yeah, it really wasn't like a slice of life thing. But I tell you, the one that really irritated the piss out of me, I only watched, I think, maybe 2 episodes, was Friends. Because how can these guys? I've lived in New York, and how can these guys who are barely employed? I don't care if you're packing 5 people into a room. You cannot afford penthouses like that.
No, not at all. I have a friend who lives in a coffin apartment, pays 1,200, 1,400 a month.
Oh
Good
yeah.
lord, it's like 500 square feet. There's barely enough room to do anything. I've I've been to apartments up in Canada. It was more like a hostel, really. All you had enough room for was your bed, your what is it? Your bed, your closet, and maybe a TV if you're lucky. And that's if you could get the mattress up off the floor. And that
Well,
was like 900 a month. And I don't know where the hell it was.
well, I lived in a 10 by 10 storage unit once. So,
Oof. Yeah.
hey, as long as you got your hot plate, life is good.
Oh hell yeah. I'm glad I got mine.
No MREs for me.
Oh, I got mine. I got mine too. I I'm a bit of a nomad. I live alone in a 3 bedroom house, but I'm constantly traveling all around the U.S. whenever I get the opportunity, which I don't really anymore. Unfortunately, I'm locked down with a full-time job. I've got a second job too, just to pay the mortgage. It's getting a little rough too. Money's starting to get tight, so I got to get into this thing and hopefully maybe get garner some kind of following. I don't know. I don't have any real aspirations with it. I mean, I'll get by even without doing this, but things are getting tight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was going stir crazy, and Sisyphus almost literally showed up out of nowhere and said, "Hey, why don't you come and co-host a show with me?" And I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I mean, I haven't been doing anything for like 4 years, except waiting for my disability to kick in. And I'll say this right up front: I've worked since I was 10 years old. I think I deserve it, now that I'm in my 50s. I think I've paid the price. I've done. I've paid my time. I've done my debt to society. So you know, hopefully they're going to give me some type of. Well, we've got another year to go before the next court case. But anyway, um, yeah, I had nothing to do and all day to do it, and the sister said, "Hey, why don't you do this with me?" And I'm like, "All right, cool." Um, we got 2 months down the road, and you know, like I've said before, no bullshit. We had an amicable split. It was, hey, you want to go this way? I guess I'm going to go this way, and everything's cool. We still support each other's channels, wherever my channel is going to land up. I have no idea, but I'm convinced it's going to be Thursdays.
I'm finding it really odd. One of the hardest things to do in this kind of community is network. I mean, I've been going through a lot of pre-networking phases. I've been going to other content creators from all around the sphere. And I find the people I fit in most with are the political commentary types. Um, and I've had long conversations with just about everybody. I've spoken with, I've spoken and even met up with Sargon, same with Aiden. Um, I've had long conversations with laymen and all these other really, they're really nice people. And I'm really glad that they're looking for other people out there too. You know what I mean?
Well,
Just
I
to,
like Dr. Lehman, but I certainly, I don't think I can have him on because he would make me feel even more stupid than Aiden made me feel.
well, he's really down to earth. It's just like speaking with Aiden. I mean, hell, I had her with several other guests at my house for the past week, and yes, there were some times where I'm just looking at myself like, oh my god, I am not I am not qualified to speak with you on some of these things, and
You,
it's
you were doing a "we're not worthy."
yeah, and well, at the end, I realized that it's the same thing. I mean, people always say, "Don't meet your heroes" because they're always let you down. But that's just it's not that. I mean, people have these heroic expectations of their quote unquote heroes, and then when they find out that they're human, that just ruins it for them. But for me, I'm always looking for the man behind the myth. You know what I mean? It's just, I mean, I have I do a lot of activism, and I've wound up on a lot of different documentaries, a lot of different news broadcasts and shit like that. Pardon my language. Um,
Oh,
and
that's okay. Nobody's fucking listening. Go for it.
well, anyway, I've been through a lot of media, like on mainstream media and local media and all these other things, and I've I have friends who thought I was some kind of like different person than I am, and then when they meet me, they still kind of look at me like that. I have a what's it called? I have one of my riflemen, somebody who works under me in the militia. I think I've already spoken about that in chat, but he
Yeah.
looks at me like I'm his senpai, and it's the cutest thing ever. But sometimes he helps a little bit too much. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
But
Yeah.
I'm just some guy. I'm just some fucking guy.
I have a tendency, um, uh, to be magnetic, if that makes sense.
Oh, it does.
If there's something that's going on, if I have half an idea about it, I'll be one of the first ones to break ranks and step forward.
Yeah.
And some people find that a foolish trait, but it's just like, hey, if this shit's going to get done, then somebody's going to have to do it, and somebody's going to have to volunteer to do it.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yep.
All right,
You,
Chief. I got to run because I'm stumbling over all the firmware updates. I've got to work on this stuff here. So, um, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you.
to you as well.
Thank you very much for having me on. And maybe I could talk with you sometime about some of the experiences I've had, in the IRL space, like you were talking about, some influential people, because I've done a lot of activism in a lot of different communities. I worked in Flint and did some stuff.
I
That's
say,
besides.
why not?
Yeah,
You're
just drop me a line anytime, man.
you're in Michigan. You can't be all that bad.
Well, thank you. This is better than Ohio. I'll catch you later, Chief. Have a good
All
one.
right. Bye. Hey, that was nice. Oh, bear with me just a second. I have to spray a cat. Cat. Yes, my wife has gotten me into the routine of you don't hit or throw things at cats. Not like I ever did in the first place, but you know, I'm of the dog raising mentality to where if you smack them on the nose with a rolled up newspaper, they'll have the tendency not to do that shit again. But cats, completely different beast. So, Numbed, did you want to come on? Uh, so instead, she got me using this damn water bottle. You know, one of those spray bottles. So anytime they mess around, I nail them with the spray bottle. My brother came up with a very exquisite torture for cats, but then again, he really hated cats. So as opposed to beating them, what he would do is he'd stuff them in a pantyhose and tie the pantyhose shut, to where the cat could stretch out its paws, but it couldn't actually walk, so it had to lay like a little lump in the floor and just wait until he decided to take it out of the pantyhose. Now, why my brother had pantyhose in the first place, it's not for me to speculate. But he did, and that's how he used them, as far as I know. All right, let's see if I can find you none. There you are. Okay, there you be. And either that's a link to the Google Hangouts, or I forgot to erase my cache from Pornhub. But there you go, Numbed, if you want to drop in. Yeah, this song has no title, just words and a tune. I'm still thinking, anybody got any ideas about what I should name the show? I guess I'll be helming in 2 weeks. You got to know. Take your time. This is
your official background noise for a Memorial Day weekend. Sit back, relax, enjoy yourself, have a lovely adult beverage, and listen to the scintillating sounds of your Memorial Day weekend.
I always wanted to get on one of those uh the radio station that I worked for had four different radio stations in one place, and one of them was rock, one of them was country, one of them was top 20s, and then the other one was a cool jazz. And I always thought that would be the job, because the only thing you needed to do was sound like, well, okay, it sounded like you were high, but just be all chill and kick back. Yeah, we got some Miles Davis coming up for you next. And then, after the break, we got a little something special. So, roll one up and have a good time on WJAZ. All the coolest jazz.
Hello.
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 I was doing my jazz impression.
How are you, Doc?
I am doing just fine. And yourself, sir?
Oh, I'm in between several different things. Just trying to pick up doing a garage sale this weekend, and the weather's not so great where I am today.
Oh, well, I'd trade you some of ours if I could. Ohio weather literally is, if you don't like if you don't like the weather now, just wait 10 minutes. Well, it's all blue skies and humid.
Well, it's supposed to be soon. I live in the Northeast, and there's like intermittent showers passing by. It'll sprinkle for an hour and stop for an hour, and then rain for 10 minutes, and then sprinkle for an hour.
Now,
annoying the hell out of me.
Now, are you talking about more Land of Lincoln or Land of Stephen King?
Where was Stephen King?
Maine.
In between.
Okay. Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's not like anybody's going to try and track us down.
I
Although
hope not.
when I scrambled real quick because when I started when Sisyphus had his family emergency, I'm like, well, we can't cancel Aiden, so I guess I'll run it off of my channel. And I forgot that I had like 4 or 5 videos listed on my channel, which completely and utterly doxed me.
Yeah, I try to be very careful, but I overthink things, and I know that there's enough information out there that if somebody knew how to look for me, they could find me, and my name, because of things I've done, is easy enough to find.
Yeah, honestly, I just don't think I've pissed anybody off enough to where they want to go dox me.
I hope I haven't.
Oh, I don't care. The place where I live is a ghetto, and they rarely deliver pizza down here, and especially not at night. And the cops pretty much already know who lives where, so
Yeah.
they really could not care less what happens. They're just, they just spend money on crime scene tape because that's when they show up is afterwards. Matter of fact,
That's
across the street from us, we got a guy. Well, we've got a guy who deals. I think he's just a pot dealer, maybe some pills. But one night he gets shot and robbed, and the cops pull up. The ambulance pulls up, and he literally tells them no. He's not going to go in the ambulance. If they want to patch him up here, he's fine because he got shot in the arm. But he refused to give a statement to the cops, and they tried to arrest him for obstruction of justice.
Yeah.
But that's how my neighborhood runs.
Damn. I've lived in a few places like that, but I can't say as I've enjoyed it.
Well, then I guess you've developed ghetto ear.
A little bit. Do you kind of know the West Coast at all? I lived right outside of Sacramento.
No, I have not. The farthest that I've been west was when I was setting up a telemarketing office in Boulder.
I did telemarketing out west.
Oh, I did it for almost 20 years.
Ooh, no, I couldn't do it that long.
Well, I just have the personality for it. Plus, I spent 5 years running around for the Kirby Company. And I set up telemarketing offices all along the eastern seaboard and in the Midwest. And that
do you know what the do you remember the Filter Queen and the Defender 7500?
Oh yeah, Filter Queens and even Electrolux is still running.
Okay, you want to laugh?
Sure.
I worked for one of the subsidiary companies that sold the Filter Queen and the Defender the Defender 7500.
Well, it's a better vacuum cleaner than the damn.
It's awesome.
Electrolux is a hazard waiting to happen. I mean, anything that a current of electricity runs through and you have to put water into it. And in the manual, in the first 2 pages, it says, do not touch a metal sink while vacuuming. Do not touch anything metal while vacuuming. But I don't think you really want that in your house. At least I'm pretty sure.
I didn't do it for long. I think on my 3rd day or 4th day of training, they sent me out on a sale call. And so I went to this house at like 8 p.m. I didn't know that the company I work for did all these telemarketing ahead of me, what they promised. And so I sat through and did this like 2-hour presentation for the homeowners. And I get done there like, well, they told us we would get this and this and this for sitting through your presentation. I was like, I wasn't told anything about it. So I had to call the marketer that sent me there, the guy who ran the office I was out of.
Yeah.
And he had told me, okay, well, have you done this? Did you do this? Did you do this? I was like, listen, they've clearly explained to me they want me to leave, but they were told they want the prizes they were promised if I was allowed in the house. They have absolutely no interest in this product. But have you tried this? Did you do this? Did you sell them this? For like a half an hour. And I was like, okay, listen, they're urging me to get off the phone and get out of the house. He was like, okay, tell them you'll get back to them tomorrow. So that's what I did. And about 3 hours of being there, it was almost 11 o'clock. I get out of there. I drive an hour home. I get to sleep. I get up at 7 o'clock and I have a voicemail saying, why am I not in the office when I was told I wasn't supposed to be in till 8?
Huh.
I get down to the office. He's like, it seems like you don't want this job. I was like, you sent me an hour out of my way to go to a house for a customer that didn't want me there.
Oh yeah, we ran into that with Kirby all the time, just because the big gimmick, the knock-in gimmick was some type of cheap prize that we had with us, but over the phone, it was, we'll do any room of carpet in your household for free. And there was some bad ones. But yeah, it's the same routine with every one of them. I mean, we sold hard and we partied harder.
Don't get me wrong. I can completely go with the sales pitch to get through the door, but I know how to sell an item, and I know when the person's not after the item you're selling. They're really easy to read. It's a good knowledge to know when to cut your losses and move on to the next one where you have a better prospect. And I was being urged for half an hour on the phone to push this. In addition to the fact, this is the first call you send me on, and you didn't tell me what you set up here. Like, you don't tell me or give me anything you promised on the phone to these people. They don't want me here. You can see it from the moment I open the door. They don't want anything to do with this. The first question was, where are the prizes? I was like, well,
what was the gimme?
Any prizes? Some ticket to a local ice cream shop or something, and I forget what else. It was a coupon or something for a local. It was stupid things. It was, well, coupon for this and a voucher for that and something else. And it was like, I had no clue. They didn't give me anything. And I've done sales jobs. I lived in California for a while. So I've done the walk down the street selling things for the company that doesn't actually have a license, but tells you they have a license, and you're covered under it when you get hired.
Yeah.
And then you get stopped by the police and go, oh, here's your shit back. I'm done.
Yeah.
You can get arrested for that shit.
Yeah. Everybody had to be bonded.
I did the telemarketing jobs. I did the stand there and display model jobs in the office. I did the door-to-doors, handout flyers shit. I did the presentation sales where they made the appointments for you. I've even done a few of those job interviews where they go, okay, here's where you buy the knives, and then you take these knives, start with your friends and family and try to sell them one, and then get comfortable, and you can buy these call lists and sell these to everybody else. And I'm sitting here thinking, are you fucking morons? I'm not.
Oh. I hate pyramid schemes. Hate them.
No. That's not even a pyramid scheme. I show up for an interview one day, and 13 other people show up at this decent house. We go inside and we sit down for a presentation. And as the presentation starts, it's this guy explaining, okay, so this is a improve your life prospect for employment and da da da, all these happy cherry coated words on how to sell the program you're sitting in front of to somebody else and more. And about 2 hours in, everybody goes out for a smoke break, and I just look at the crowd and I go, "I'll see y'all later."
Okay. Yeah, I went to an Amway meeting. I guess the only good thing that came out of it was a meeting at which should have tipped me off at Frisch's Big Boy. So we had the biggest booth, and there was like 8 of us sitting in this circular booth. And one by one, people went to go to the bathroom and never came back. And I said, well, at least you bought me a buddy boy, so I'll stay till the end of the presentation.
Yeah, you have a handsome boy in the chat.
I believe so.
I have been duped by my fair share of try our job. We're looking for people. You can make $300 to $1,500 a week if you're willing to work hard. And then you sit through the interview and the presentation. You're sitting there like, what am I, an idiot? You want me to pay to buy something from you so that I can go sell it to somebody else for more? What?
Yeah. Yep. Been there.
You want me to sell this idea to somebody for them to pay you for this cassette? And I get 10% of me doing that? What? You know, I've worked real jobs. I know how they work. I've worked commission-based sales jobs for insurance companies. I know how they work. I'm no idiot.
Well,
I am a numbskull, but
well, the one thing that really breaks my heart every time is people who do the home businesses, like start up with, Avon or Mary Kay or Pampered Chef or Home Ideas, those kind of things, because I know my friend is trying to make money.
Okay.
And they always show up.
I did not have a problem with that until, and I have reason. My wife actually sold Avon for a couple of years, and it wasn't a lot of money. She did little tables here and there at stores, trying to earn a few bucks here and there. And sometimes you'd sell a couple things, sometimes you wouldn't. The problem came in a couple years ago. 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago. She had to put an order in for something a customer wanted, but they changed the rules. So when she went to press send on the order, it went, well, your minimum order has to be this much.
Really?
Yeah. So in order for her to place an order for a customer, she had to order like 5 times what that customer wanted. So she went, okay, I guess I'll order, an extra one just in case, and a couple of items I can sell at the next table. Well, we went and did the next table. She sold nothing. So then we decided we'd, try out the local fairs and see if she could sell, because she had a few things she bought to be able to do tables. Then she had things she was accumulating, because in order to order for what she sold that she didn't have, she had to order extra. And in ordering extra, you build up a debt, then you build up a problem because you can't order more until you pay the debt. But then if you need 1 or 2 things that you don't have, you can't order it until you have a big enough order. So what becomes the point? It was costing more to get the stuff in for the customers than you were making off of it.
Yeah, my mom sold Avon, and she was underneath the largest distributor in the United States. I'm not kidding when I say every time they had a national contest, she would end up winning the damn car, and or the trip or whatever it was. So her scheme was, I sell it to you, for 5% above what I get it for, and I will put in the order under my name, and then you sell it for whatever the book price is. So she would wrangle up orders from like 15, 20 different ladies, and then have these huge orders come in, and that was that was her big deal, big selling point. She took care of everything, had everything ready for whenever you'd stop over to pick up whatever your customer had purchased. So she had that shit down. I mean, locked down.
Everything has a routine. If you get into anything that has to do with sales and marketing, and I can say I've done just about every end of the spectrum. I've sold the damn tool cases that come out of the canisters off the back of the boats, and they come in for like a buck and something, and you sell them for $5. You get them as those cheap Christmas presents and shit. I've
Yeah.
sold those. You can sell them for whatever you want, they tell you, but you'll sell the most at this price. So it's kind of your own business kind of thing. I've done the phone sales. I've done the marketing sales. I've done the maintenance. I mean, I've been through the whole end. I've even managed a grocery store. And sales is hard. They teach you the law of numbers. If you have something people want, they're going to come after it. You just have to figure out how to supply the right amount and everything. If you have something that people don't necessarily want, you have to go through the laws of numbers. It's like for every 10 people you call, one person's going to talk to you. For every 10 people that talk to you, one person's going to buy from you.
Well,
It's something like that. I can't remember the exact shit, but it's something like that.
And dovetailing into the reason why I started this stream was the fact that I don't think I'm technically trying to carve out a niche that's my own, but with the streams that I want to do, I just want to have interesting people on with interesting things to say, and not turn into a bitchy slap fight.
All right, I better go then.
But yeah, I mean, and honestly, I don't. I mean, I've watched you a few times. You don't egg that on. Are you comfortable where you're at?
The problem I find right now, especially with YouTube, is one, finding a balance. It's a hobby, but it's kind of a hobby I enjoy and have become addicted to doing. On the other hand, it's time consuming and it's hard to find the right place to fall to find an audience. And when I say an audience, I'm looking at YouTubers from 500 to 30, 50,000 subscribers and trying to see how they're doing and growing their audiences. And I'm trying to take that all into account, but chart my own course in doing it. And it came to a point where I'm looking at this going, I love my show. I enjoy doing the show, but how do I get people to watch without being greedy about it, which is sometimes what I feel. I don't want to feel like I'm entitled. Listen, guys, I have a hell of a show. I spend a lot of time on it. Get your fucking asses in my show. Start talking, hang out. You'll enjoy it. No, that feels like I'm pushing. The same way I've told people I don't like shilling for my channels or putting out my websites. I've programmed my bots to do it on request instead of saying, hey, don't forget to check out here or go over here and do this. Or not to be mean, I enjoy certain creators, but sometimes it feels like you're trying to oversell yourself and you're not sure for what yet. So I'm small. Am I going to stay at this? I don't know. If I feel like it's rewarding enough and continues to be rewarding enough, then yeah. As long as that addiction, the enjoyment of creating something is there, I'm going to keep coming back. But if more people tell me this is the kind of stuff they want to see, well, then that enjoyment for what I've created goes up a little bit. And then I might spend more time on it again. It's hard to say though, but how do I get to that new audience?
Well, and my train of thought is, I've been housebound for 4 years. I'm not doing anything. I'm going crazy. So I might as well go ahead and do some streaming. Somebody bought me a semi-pro setup, so I said, okay, yeah, I'll go ahead and do this. Um, I've had radio work before. I've dabbled in pretty much anything. I am a true jack of all trades, except when it comes to computer coding, and I'm shit at that. But I just decided, you know, I want to talk to some interesting people for a little while, and I would like to share the conversation with anybody else who seems interested.
Yeah. And I've said this before to people with my show. It took me over a month of planning to figure out what and how to do. And then the first show ran. I got a huge bunch of input from what I saw and some interaction. And then the show changed. And I've flown with a purpose and a direction and just tried to maintain that and keep updating to make sure I'm on the right path.
Well,
One of the problems with a show that I see some people have is before you lay it out, understand it has to be repeatable. And depending on the kind of show you're running, it has to be infinitely repeatable. So for me, in order for me to run a lot of shows, I have to be able to come up with questions, even bullshit questions. It doesn't matter. Something that just makes the mind turn. That's all I have to do. How many can I come up with? Well, I think I've satisfied that I can come up with 20 to 40 a week because I did 5 shows at one point. But when I did 5 shows, people weren't tuning in as often. Each show would have a lower view count and certain shows would have a high count. So I took the high count show when I decided the weather was too nice this year. I got to go outside and do some stuff, move my show around. I'll leave this one here, and then that gives me the rest of the week open. So I kept Monday. It was the highest view. And then by cutting all of the shows, Monday went down somehow. So there's no way to sit here and predict or figure out what to do. I can have huge people on the show, and this is something that blows my mind. I've had some awesome people, some guests on the show that have 30 and 40,000 people, but gain 3 or 4 subs from the show. I have a show with no guests, gain 8 subscribers.
Well, there's several different ways to try to get eyes on whatever product that you're pushing. That's definitely a result of whatever effort that you're putting in. But it's just like one of the reasons why I started the stream is because since Sisyphus and I split, I didn't want to encroach on what he was doing. And me trying to run a show Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern would have been a total dick move.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but here's the funny thing. I booked the next month in advance. And so everybody's scheduled for a Tuesday. And now I've got to recontact everybody and say, hey, show got changed and it's moved to Thursday. Are you okay with this? So I'm hoping, because our 2 biggest non-YouTube guests are coming up in a couple of weeks. I've got Harry Manfredini coming on, and well, wait a minute. Do you know who Harry Manfredini is?
Nope.
Okay. Quick explanation. He's the guy who wrote the Friday the 13th theme and about 100 other movie scores.
Oh, okay. I like Friday the 13th.
He's a fascinating guy, and I've talked to him previously. I've interviewed him, and I told him, I said, if I ever get another show up and running, I want to have you on. He's like, if I'm alive, I'll do it. And at 74, he's still kicking, so he's going to be on the show. Also got Kyle Abear, who is the narrator voice and has been ever since the inception of Dragon Ball Z. And most of the Dragon Ball franchise, he's had voice parts in it and in the video games and all that stuff. And
I'm not a big Dragon Ball Z fan, though.
Okay, let me just share a secret with you. Can I share a secret with you? I fucking hate Dragon Ball Z. It takes too goddamn long, but I'm so fascinated with the voiceover process that I want to hear what a veteran like Kyle Aber has to say. I'm not bringing him on the show just so he can do, vocal impressions of the characters that he does for a living. I'm sure he gets enough of that in all the other interviews.
That's interesting. I never thought about that. When you think about voiceover, the film is often made before the voices are recorded in. And then they have to record the voices to match the film. See, you don't think about that. I use an avatar, so there's no thought. When I did try to make the movements, I always tried to make the movements go according to what I was saying, but I didn't script out what I was saying, so that didn't work. Maybe that's why I ran into a problem. I was thinking about it wrong.
Well, now here's a funny thing about voiceover guys, because I know a few. But I wanted to have Kyle on first. But when you watch an anime that's been dubbed over, you'll hear a lot of huh or or oh. That's just because they got to fill it up, because it'll hit a still shot or somebody nodding or something, but they have to do the with it because there really is no actual dialogue. So they just have to do grunts, growls, and groans.
Okay. That's interesting.
Oh, it's fun to watch too. And like when Disney brought over all the Ghibli Studios stuff, the Miyazaki stuff like Princess Mononoke and Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle, Kiki's Delivery Service, all those good-natured ones. They literally had script writers sit down and go, okay, this is kind of what the story's about. Now you have to sit down and watch the movie. And as you watch the movie, you have to script your dialogue that is going to fit the mouth movements. So they legitimately had to rewrite a story that's already been written.
They're professional memers.
Yeah, that's why I like meming so much. I'm a total fan.
I'm not much of a TV I haven't watched much in the way of anything in at least the last year or so. Like I'll glance at a TV show here or there when my wife or my kid are watching it, but I don't sit and watch TV. I watch too much YouTube. I've spent a lot of. This is gonna sound very, very sad. When I started YouTube a year ago, I dove into the deep end and just I struggled until I thought I felt like I started to make it, and I was spending 12 and 14 hours almost every day trying to get the images right or get the audio right or improve the quality or make new recordings or mess with the pictures. I was spending all day making like 5-6 minute videos, and that was it. And it was frustrating, and I was like, maybe this will be cool and I'll grow. And I thought, people are saying, get on YouTube, make a couple of dollars here, and do something you enjoy. And it's like, well, I can do that. We'll see if I enjoy it. And then I moved forward and I started actually enjoying the videos. And it was when I stopped trying to crunch to do the work. And when I tried to space things out for myself, where I gave myself time to walk away from the projects I was on, and then made the projects just started being easier to make longer. And then they just started taking less time and started getting less frustrated, and I started enjoying it more. And then I guess right about the time streaming became a thing right before a lot of big people, but after some others. So I was kind of in the early midst of people starting to stream. I came up with this show idea. I was watching things where people were yelling and arguing and debating back and forth, and I was like, okay, but you're missing this topic. Or how about you look at it from this angle and see if that helps it easier to make it easier to talk about between the two of you. And the chat just moved too fast, or people don't listen to the comments because they're in the conversation, and that's understandable. So what I was trying to do is, and this is how I think about things, I was trying to question, why do you look at things like this? How do you look at it, and why? And are you open to, maybe it's not like that? And I thought, how can I keep repeating this? Okay, well, like a game board, which was originally 2 rounds with 3 questions each. And I had Gutenberg on for the first show, and that might have been the greatest thing in the world or the biggest mistake, because he wanted to do all the questions, all of them. He's like, come on, bring the next one. Let's go. Bring the next one. Come on, this is fun. Let's do another. And it was serious, but it's in a fun sport. Instead of talking about abortion, break it down where, how do you feel about men wanting the right to include themselves in the decision of abortion? Instead of talking about the whole issue, break it down, talk about one point, talk about your opinion on that and why and the perspective. And that's maybe where conversations need to go. And that's part of what I was seeing, is conversations are all about these heated issues and these statistics and these feelings and these people. Let's talk about why people feel that way and what drives somebody to say, no, I'm completely anti-abortion. It's wrong because I had one and it was terrible. Why? That perspective, that individual viewpoint that you've formed through how you've lived, that's what we need to look at. Something just slightly off the main topic of the issue, but still there, still a part of what we need to talk about. But let's break it up a little. So the topics are the topics. The topics are like video games. People argue about video games all the time. But the topic breaks it down into, well, where do you feel video games are going? When kids get up from a shooting game, do they walk away with the feeling that they need to shoot things? When you get up from a racing game, do you feel like you still need to race your car when you're running to the store? Kind of questioning. Break it down to points. I'm sorry, I'm taking control of your stream.
No, because what you're saying to me is interesting, because my frame of mind, and you're probably around the same age that I am, is that you can talk about this shit all day, but you have to have some form of practical application. How does this fit into my life? How does this work? How does this grease the wheels of the cogs that move in my brain? And a lot of people
not just that, but when somebody comes out with their main topic and you're pushing for this and you're pushing for this and you're pushing for this, why? I did a video on Candace Owens, and this kind of presents my opinion. I didn't go after what everybody else did directly after Social Autopsy. I went and looked.
Hold on just a second. You might want to do a quick backstory for those who don't know who Candace Owens is.
Okay, Candace Owens kind of
came and gone.
Candace Owens. Let's do this. I have a video. You can go check it out. But when she was 17, she got into an incident in high school, which was considered a hate crime. She was threatened over voicemails on her phone. One of the people that did it included the son of a governor at the time. I'm a little fuzzy on some of the details. I did this months ago. She was held by the NAACP. She was given support and press and everything to fight the problem. She went quiet for a while, went to college, came out, made some videos, and then started this website called Social Autopsy, which was a site to collect information on those who bullied and harassed others, to compile a database where people who could be held accountable for the things they did against others online.
Yeah,
Which
she tried to
makes
make it like being to be acceptable doxing, basically.
Okay, so hold on. This is where it gets cloudy.
Uh-huh.
I didn't go at it from the doxing aspect. So when I talk about it like I went at it. Something happened to her, and it took the cops a couple months to track down all the involved parties who left this voicemail so that they could be taken to court for the harassment that they did do. And she was privy to that, and she argues that it was one of the worst times in her life for both her and the people who committed the crime, and there should have been better methods or ways of teaching people how to be better. And that all makes sense. But what I pointed out is that in creating a website that identifies those who do things wrong, you're basically identifying them for those who are willing to do wrong things to be wronged against.
Yeah, I mean it basically supports a bullying culture.
Right. If you're gonna bully people for bullying people, then what are you doing? You're arguing against your own cause. And that was all I was saying. It was something like Candace Owens wants others to know how she felt or something like that, and doesn't realize that she wants others to go through what she went through. I forget what the point of my video exactly was. I could look it up because I wrote it on the thumbnail. But I tried to go at it differently because you see 20, 30 YouTubers popping up and going, look at Social Autopsy. You can type information in here and get into this thing and get on the newsletter and be sent emails when it goes live. And this is all active. This is bad. This is terrible. This is how people get doxxed. And you can look up all these profiles and these names and these people. This information is here. This is digging into lives and taking social media accounts and linking them to information and bad posts. And I tried to go at it, but why is she doing this? What was the intent? Why would she try this? I try to go at it from a different perspective is all I'm saying. And that's what I constantly try to do. And sometimes overthink things. And
I certainly have an issue because the young kids may be calling everybody who's older than them boomers, but instead of calling them millennials or zillennials, which is starting to become popular, I call them Generation Anon, because they're living in a faceless civilization, or a civilization that's encouraging kids to basically be anonymous, and that gives them the hubris to bully and affect other people's lives and be able to walk away without any type of repercussion. And there has to be some type of responsibility for every action that you do. It can't be, well, you have to just let your conscience sort it out later. I mean, you really have to take those steps to say, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Come at it from a different angle. Use the Socratic method. Question your damn self to figure out why. And hopefully that will bring you to some type of moral judgment that isn't just, well, they say that this person's being doxxed, so we're going to bully them and we're going to dox them.
Yeah,
and that drives me insane. And by the way, I'm hoping
retaliation.
And by the way, I'm hoping that Generation Anon catches on, because then I'll be I'll be written down in some obscure history book.
Do you know what? I said something to my neighbor a few days ago. It really caught him off guard and made him stop and think. And, it's something that I consistently try to think about. It's think about the size of the person you are, okay? And then imagine trying to find you in a crowd of 5,000 people. Imagine trying to find you in a crowd of 50,000, 500,000, 5 billion, 7 billion. Where would you be? How small are you in that crowd of 7 billion people? How important can one person or what one person says or does actually be?
Well, only if you're spreading the plague can you affect people on that dramatic of a scale.
I understand, but I always try to step back, look at a situation, any situation. I don't have money to pay my cable bill. Okay, let's say that's a for instance. I don't have money to pay the cable bill this month. I'm going to have to let them turn it off. And then step back. Okay, 30 something percent of the planet has cable. Okay, so I can go without. Okay, only 40% has access to internet. Okay, I can go without. Only so much of the population has phone. Okay, I can do this. And then get out and do something and realize, okay, well, I guess I didn't need it as much. It's all about the perspective you take. If you realize that just because you have and use and do something, that doesn't mean it's normal and that it's in every household. The internet is a commodity. It's a privilege to have based on the money that you have, that you hopefully have earned or have a right to have. And when you always try to keep perspective of the situation you're in, you don't end up going, well, I'm entitled to this because this is where I am. And so that's mine too, right?
Yeah, I can see. I mean, we do have an entitlement society going on right now. When I was a kid, it was literally, you got what you worked for. If you didn't work, you didn't get shit.
Right.
And there's just way too many people out there who think that they're owed just by virtue of breathing. And
I'm going to college this semester. My check to go to college will be in at the end of the month. That's one of the new ones. I know so many people right now that are going to college just so they can go, well, I have a part-time job, but my college check will be here at the end of the month. Now, I'm not holding it against them. It's great to get an education, but if everybody had an education, then it's not as valuable as it was. But now everybody is spending on it. So it's like having a new state-of-the-art cell phone. You got to go out and buy the most expensive because that's the best. And now everybody has one. So, well, it's not as cool. It's starting to lose the thrill a little bit. I don't know if anybody else notices that, but since the phone started exploding, the cell phone and advance every year or two craze is going away. The prices have gotten to a point where they can't just sell you a phone. Now they have to sell you a plan to purchase the phone, not a plan to purchase the service. So now you have your phone plan, your purchase plan, and we got them locked in for 2.5 years.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, my last job that I held before the strokes came was with AT&T, and every year at the same time when Apple was releasing that new iPhone, it didn't make a difference to these people. They had to have it because it was the newest. They had no respect for the technology. I can't tell you how many times I got calls from people who were like, yeah, I dropped my phone in the toilet. What do I do to fix it?
No, I got one. This is my funniest Apple story ever. So my first Apple iPhone was the 3G. Okay. It was
Okay.
my first touch screen. Everything before that was buttons. So you're going to love this story. I figure out how to program the number into the phone right after I left. So I'm in the car programming my mom's phone number, and I go to call her. And I'm sitting there with the phone in my hand going, I don't see a red and green button. And I had to walk back into the store and go, how do I complete this call? Because I went to once I programmed the number in, it took me to the white page that just listed their number, where you just have to touch the number and it dials it. And I'm sitting there looking at the screen going, there's no green button to call. Like, there's no button. What do I push to make the call? I'm sitting there for 5 minutes. I walk back in the store. I'm like, real quick, dumb question. How do I press send? I just want to make a phone call. And I felt like such an idiot. But now it's just everyday material now.
Yeah.
I will not buy another upgrade to the Apple iPhone, especially not from AT&T, unless I have the cash to do it outright again, because getting stuck in their contracts is a bitch.
Well, no, I carried a Nokia forever until I started working for AT&T, and I had to buy, a touch screen, a smartphone, just because it was part of my job now, that I had to understand how it worked in order to talk to people on the phone, to walk them through any issues.
Yep. I noticed that shortly after they came out, everybody had one. And I get into my habits where I will not buy a new phone when it comes out. I wait for the next real advancement, and then I wait for some of those to be sold and see what problems come, and then get one after the fixes have come out. That's my general plan. And then I'm a dumbass, so I will go buy the phone for, $800 at this point, which pisses me off. I miss them being $3, $4, maybe $5. And then you go buy a $60 or $80 case that you can make sure you can throw the phone across the room in, and it's not breaking. And then I go buy that stupid Max Shield glass, so that if it does scratch or chafe the glass on the outside, I can peel it off and put a new one on. Like, I'm one of those.
Okay, Numbskull, we do have Sisyphus joining us.
I saw that, and there's no beef.
How we doing, guys?
Oh, in there. I'm not looking at that screen. Hello.
What's going on, Numbskull?
Hello. Nice to meet you.
He's already learned something more about Hangouts. I never seen any of these widgets. How do you get these widgets on here, Doc?
It's just by going through YouTube itself.
Okay.
Because OBS, it has its own evil satanic methods, and I don't even want to deal with it.
I don't think it was OBS. I think I was just using I was just going straight into Google Hangouts. I wasn't going through YouTube at all. I was just going through Google Hangouts and then copy and pasting the link and sending it out.
Oh, okay.
I think that's where I messed up.
Gotcha. So yeah, Numbskull, did you ever get a chance to drop in and hear any of the adventures of Sisyphus?
I have not, actually. I believe it or not, I'm still learning about all sorts of new creators. You meet them a few at a time. I didn't know about. I've seen Doc in chats before, but I've never actually spoken with him.
Yeah, I like to hang out in Ninja and into the smaller channels too. Because I think there's some great original content out there, and that was the big reason why I started this one today. Because literally, it was just thinking out loud. It's nothing I was scheduling, but trying to figure out. I pretty much nailed down the fact that if I'm doing a show, I'll be doing it on Thursdays, more than likely 8 p.m. Eastern, but I still haven't figured out a name yet. Although I have to share this with I I have to share this with people who are wrestling fans out there who didn't hear this. A buddy of mine wants to start a wrestling channel, and he's like, I want something edgy. And I'm like, well, how about hanging with Benoit?
And friends.
Well, he's like, I don't know, man. I might draw a lot of shit for that one.
Yeah,
Handsome boy, yeah, I've been on Scrubs stream before. I've been on a lot of people's streams. Normally, it's late night. Just hopping in if there's a topic that's interesting, and that's one of the reasons why I like the smaller creators too. Just because they're not trying to work a gimmick. I mean, I was on Kumite once, but that was a quick over and done. And so was like Ralph or Retort. And
Hey, Doc.
yeah,
You sent me the thing for the Paint Shop Pro. It's
Yeah.
asking me for the file format association. Should I just select all? They're leaving out GIF. They're leaving out JPEG. They're leaving out GIF.
Oh yeah, take them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to select all of them. All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because I tell you what, I was extolling the virtues of Jask as well.
I used to like the Kumite. I was indifferent about it for the last couple of months, and I'm not sure what it was. It was a feeling I got from the show that it was less friendly to everybody than it was when it was smaller, and it became I'm gonna grow in spite now. And okay, I can see that. I'll still follow you in that. And then just some of the way it changed towards an like, don't get me wrong, the fun, seemingly angry fights that you can tell were just kind of bullshit matches, those were actually entertaining because you get a good laugh and chuckle out of people trying to come up with something new to throw at the other person. And then it got just
I mean, I loved it the moment the bell rang and AP stepped into the ring, because AP is the champion. No offense, King Carl, but you never wore that crown. You never had that belt. AP is a first class shit talker, and that is definitely an awesome thing. I loved hearing real shit talkers come in, but at the very end of it, it just broke down to
thanks for coming,
school.
man. That was fun. Have a good day.
It got to where they were like, well, you remember 2 weeks ago when you said this, and now today you're saying this. Why did you say that 2 weeks ago if you're going to say this today? And it's like, come on, dude. We were sitting there bullshitting, fucking talking shit to each other. And now you're going to give me a hard time because I said, but this time instead of and, like I did it, I said and last time.
It got like it started feeling angry. Like everybody, like it wasn't the place to come and get laughs and, throw shit in chat to be funny. It became a place
too much of a microscope.
There's gonna be a fight today. Whose lips getting busted open?
Well, yeah,
and
ball busting turned into political discourse. And once you get these guys into political discourse, they don't want to hear anything that the other side has to say unless it's something to debunk or bolster whatever their position is. They don't care.
I want the Kumite to come back, but I wanted it to come back with more fun and less we need to fill this. And the fun days were still there all along. It was just you had to catch them. And it wasn't most of the days. It became, okay, a couple times a week. Okay, once a week. Okay, a few minutes on this show and then a few minutes on that show. It wasn't one fun thing after another. It was, hey, we can get clips because it's only this one moment now.
Well, and here's the big thing. If you were a part of the show or watched it for any long amount of time, when they bumped off of when they took the bump off of Tonka's channel and went to Failure's channel, it evolved. Well, I will say it mutated. Then when it bumped from Failure's channel to Andy's channel, it mutated even further. And I'll be honest with you, that show that was on Andy's channel was not the show that was on Tonka's channel.
No.
And you know, God bless Andy for all his spurginess, but it had become what Andy wanted to see as far as the Warski Comedy Hour retrospective praise to O&A.
Okay, so not having a lot to throw in here, but trying to offer what little perspective I can. I was accidentally on the Kumite twice, and I was on Failure in the morning once, and I've had Failure on, and you know, I've tried to interact to help myself and just to be part of the community. I've actually spoken with Tonka. I forget what stream it was on generally, and the conversation that was had when we were in the stream was, well, my comment was, well, I felt like it was this, and I enjoyed this, and his comment was something along the lines of, well, you know what? Everybody enjoyed whatever they felt like they got out of the show, and it was just seems like it was something different to everybody. And this was before the whole channel strikes and everything where it moved. This was maybe at 15,000, 14,000. And I started watching just before he hit 1,000 on the Tonkasaw channel. And I think I was on somewhere around the 7,000 or 8,000 mark. So I mean, I've tried to stay with the channel. I really enjoyed it. I always thought it was fun with the orange box gimmick. I'd never seen that before, so that was entertaining to me.
Yeah.
And that's something that kind of just, it went away not only on his, but other people stopped doing orange boxes. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, here's the best way I can describe the mutation of the Kumite. It was like going to go see your favorite band at a local bar, and then all of a sudden they're in a 20,000 seat arena.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Because then they got a million other eyes watching them. They got other people to worry about. They start, especially, you know, I mean, I hate to be the dude that talked bad about Tonka, but Tonka being so tough, he wasn't allowed to, he wouldn't take any sort of shit at all. He would go off the rails on almost anybody that gave him any type of shit. And yeah, once you got 15,000 more people watching, they start, or, you know, you got 1,000 more people watching, they start to really watch and see what you're up to. And you get some of these guys that are neats where all they're doing are, what's the new word? Incels. I call them imbeciles, but incels were involuntary celibacy. It's like, dude, whenever you sit your ass inside and don't do anything, you're not going to get any pussy. Sorry about your luck.
All right. Well, incels is a whole separate topic, but I do know it did come up. It did come up. An incel is, to best of my knowledge, somebody who every woman looks at and goes, "No, I'm sorry, I can do better."
Well,
you know that has nothing to do.
Felt like that, not that intentionally celibate or anything, but I felt like that sometimes. A girl look at you and just keep looking. It's like, wait, well, what? I thought I looked. Fuck. Oh well, I guess.
Well, I would say most incels have not been at a bar when it's closing time because everybody gets laid.
Yeah,
that's not true, but
well, my standards are too high. I don't just want to pick up some slut at a bar. Well, there's your problem.
Yep, there's your problem.
Compromise just a little bit in any one way, which would help you.
Yeah, don't say you're involuntary. You're volunteering.
Does this mean this show is officially talking about sex or lack thereof? Therefore, it can divert into sex now.
Why, do you have a sex topic that you'd like to bring up?
No, but it always comes up, doesn't it?
Well, you know, I'll take the pun for what it's worth. But no, I mean, the whole thing, and getting back to the original point is, I think there is no money whatsoever in YouTube now. It's gone. It's bled dry. If you're going to get money, you're going to get it when you do something like Streamlabs or a Patreon or something like that. But I think there's a lot of room for many content creators out there to do what they want to do, as long as they want to do it, and they're motivated by the point of, this is what thrills me. This is what pushes my buttons. This is what cranks my knobs. It's what marinates my mangoes. Whatever you want to say. But
I want to throw a wrench in there.
Okay.
Now, we were just talking about the Kumite. Let's use this as a very good example. Let's say a bunch of people find a new channel they really enjoy, and they start tossing $1 and $2 and $5 and $10 and $20 and $100 donations at that channel, and that channel grows and people enjoy it, and then all of a sudden the channel changes a bit because it's grown, and then it changes again because it keeps growing, and then it dies because the growth kind of led to a brick wall it just slammed into and fizzled out. Now, what happens to, and I try to think about this, what happens to all the people that on all 3 channels have gone through and sponsored, on all 3 channels have gone through and dropped all this money, and all of the other people who have seen this happen? And I don't know if it's the change of the Kumite. I don't have it like that to be able to donate out of the channels right now, but donations on so many streams have backed down to less than half of what they were a couple months ago. People that used to get $100 a day in breakdowns and donations maybe get 20 to 50 now if they're lucky, and they're more grateful for it. Does that make sense? It's almost like people have seen this whole thing just like a balloon. It blew up, fizzled out, somebody stopped airing it and popped it, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I'm going to be a lot more careful what channels I invest in and how much, because where did all that money I just spent go?
Well,
Can you look go ahead.
I think you've got a long-term view of it, whereas a lot of people, and I've talked to some people who dropped some huge ducats. A lot of the reason why they do it is because they do it at that moment where they're enjoying what they're seeing. Kind of like one of them said, this is just like paying admission to a movie. And I accept that concept, that they're paying for what they like. The only difference between buying a ticket for a movie is the fact that you already like what you're doing. There was no obligation previous. So, they're throwing a few shekels.
Now, how does that Streamlabs, isn't that like a monthly thing?
No.
Someone was saying that
if I donate to you right now, you could go 20 minutes, click confirm, go to your PayPal account tomorrow and click transfer and have it in your bank account within a day or two. Like, from the time I donate to you, you can have the money in 24 or 48 hours.
No, I'm talking about the donation part. Someone was telling me that you had to like jump through hoops just to donate on Streamlabs.
You have to have an account with Streamlabs. And
yeah, that's pretty much it.
A bank or a credit card tied into that account.
And is that how people are getting doxxed and shit? Is that the way?
Yes.
The secret way people are getting doxxed?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Because when you link your PayPal account has your real name on it. Don't try that with me; it won't work. There's plenty of places. Even Suit Yourself has a video. No, he doesn't anymore. But used to have a video that told you what to do to set it up so that you could change it to a business account and take your name off of it. So mine business account says I'm Numbskull Inc. or Numbskull something like that.
Well, I dare anybody to try to donate to my Patreon or my Streamlabs, because I have neither.
Neither do I.
And here's the fun thing. When I first started the internet, I never had the intent to really make money off of anybody donating to me. But my thought was, some moron's going to either really like or really dislike what I do, and they're going to mock me somewhere. So I'm going to claim my name on all these sites, list them and link them, and then you'll know when you're with me, because it just goes back to my other pages. So I have myself on all the platforms and play and tinker and toil. And then one day out of nowhere, it's just I hear this change dropping on a table, which is the audio that I tied into it. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? $2. Yay! Or $5 was my first donation.
Well,
I mean,
I will say straight up that I am dirt poor. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't been able to have a job for 4 years. I go to the food, I go to multiple food pantries monthly, but I feel that the moment that I start doing a Streamlabs or a Patreon, it's gonna make it dirty for me because I'm enjoying doing what I'm doing. So I want to make sure that stays as pure as possible.
you know, I have the same kind of feeling. I want YouTube to give me ad revenue for giving them material. That's where I would prefer to make the money. And because of that, I I can't bring myself to ask the people watching my show to donate. So my thing is always, play with and slap the buttons on your way out. Let me know how you feel about the show. I have bots in my channel, but they don't shill my channel. They're not visit Streamlabs, visit Patreon. They're like type tweet, YouTube, or Discord to get the links to my various sites. But if you type Streamlabs, Patreon, or one of those in the chat, the bot will give you that link as well. So I don't sell myself, but it's there. It's one of those, if you really want to tip in the bucket, tip in the bucket. And I don't want to be negative about other creators, but part of what turns me off sometimes, Mundane Nat, mundane as hell, pisses me off when I watch every one of his videos. The first thing I see is an ad. The second thing I see is donate to your favorite creators because YouTube isn't sponsoring us. And I'm thinking, you fucking moron. Some of your videos have ads, so that gets redundant.
Well, what's funny, I
then-
do that spiel all the time, but I know I'm completely blame or guilt free because of the fact that I know I don't have a Patreon or a Streamlabs, but I know people like Gulf City, they're out there busting their balls to make cartoons, and
Yeah.
that's a job.
Yeah.
And if people like what they do, I don't see any problem with them getting a paycheck on it.
I don't see a problem with the way Gulf Streaming does it because they do it in a way. If you can, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. If you can't, we appreciate you coming. Cool. And other creators do that, but there's something coming up now that YouTube revenue's down, and I've seen super chats go down, and Streamlabs is starting to back off, and people aren't putting as high a donations in. You get these creators making gimmicks of the donation. And I absolutely love the creators, even though they do it. And I know there's a lot of creators that do this because Streamlabs offers this for that reason. But you can get like 8 different cups for people to drop money in. There's the donation ticker I use because I want to acknowledge those who put money in. There's the credits rolling at the end now for people who donate during the stream. There's the bars for how far you are along a project or a donation.
You see what that little turd high on Think I'm Real, he like does freaking calligraphy on everybody's names for his Patreons. You ever watch his videos? He does it every video. He goes, "Thanks you to my Patreons," and he like holds them up, stop. You can see it shows, it kind of looks like he's putting up, he's not grabbing each card. He edits it to where it's just him each time holding up the name of the person that donated.
Yeah.
And he does it in calligraphy or whatever weird writing you want to call it. I think it's calligraphy, but it might just be a real hardcore cursive.
I extended my ticker out and went through. So the ticker says, "Thank you for donating," not just "thanks for." I try to, I think to myself, and again, perspective. If I were giving $5 to this channel to make them feel better, what little but kind acknowledgement would I want in return? And yeah, my name pop up on the screen once in a while as a supporter. That's a cool thing. But some of the new gimmicks I see are fun, and they're enjoyable, but then they start to take over the content. That's where I have the problem with it, if that makes sense.
That
Well,
makes perfect sense.
well, you know what? If somebody's going to throw you money for what you're doing, they still have no right to tell you what to do because
And
you
I
were
agree
doing
with
that
absolutely.
before.
Right, I agree with that absolutely. I'm just saying at the point where I'm watching a stream, or mostly streams at this point, but I'm watching a stream and 3 to 5 minutes of the stream stops for a game thing around trying to get more donations today, or changing your donation stuff up every few days to try and keep getting more money for this or that. Hey, this week I'm trying to buy this. This week I'm trying to get that. Hey, donate if you want to see me do this. Okay, it went from you could use the donation to all I hear some shows is donation,
Well,
donation.
dude, they're pulling one of the most successful internet strategies, which is the cam girl strategy.
Yeah. And I enjoy watching the shows. I have nothing wrong with the creators. I do dislike aspects of the I need money.
True.
And that's just my personal perspective. Is that when I feel like I'm watching a show that's just asking for money, I'm not watching PBS programming doing their 24-hour fundraising scheme to pay for the next 3 months of television. I don't want to feel like that's what I'm watching.
Yeah, I had problems with PBS when they were doing some type of movie, and like every 25 minutes they pop in. This is a great film, and it's basically brought to you by the people who sponsor us. So if you
Because
like this type of content, then you need to sponsor us.
1 month a year, I think in February, they try to raise what they need for most of the year. And then depending on what they have left, they break it down into increments over what they need, and they make goals in smaller increments so they can hit those.
Well, they do.
And I
They do
understand
drives.
it, but that's not why I'm watching YouTube. I am not watching YouTube to watch a channel to provide for my public programming. And this is YouTube's fault. It's YouTube's fault entirely, but the creators have had to do this. That's why I don't hold it against them. I just don't enjoy it.
Well, I don't know. It's always
Like I'm watching a fun drive.
They're always going to be protective of their platform and what they do and how they do it, and it's it's the corporation mentality of, well, if you don't like it, screw off. We'll find 20 more to replace you.
Yeah.
And it'll continuously happen. What is it? There's what was the stat? There was like 10.5 million uploads a day to YouTube around the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
something
that's
like
staggering
400 times the content of the amount of time it takes to put the content up, or something like that. For every hour that goes by, 400 hours are being uploaded or something, or 4,000 hours.
Yeah, it's insane. And I mean, basically, they're still going to make their money. So my only goal is for me to have a good time and not go insane while I'm pent up in a house.
Yeah, I can trust that. I lived out in the middle of nowhere with no car, no way to get anywhere all day long. That's how I started doing this.
Yeah, well, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I was gonna ask Sisyphus if he wanted to do a little shilling. I already did some earlier and in the middle, but it never hurts to do a little bit more. Who you got coming up this week?
I have my first verified guest, Ian Michaels Cheong. Ian Miles, sorry. But yeah, he's gonna be fun. He did a stream not too long ago with some Happas, so He's gonna be hanging out with a white boy to come Tuesday.
He is fun. I've had him on one of my shows, I think. I had him on with Failer that day.
Tuesday at 8 p.m. New York time, EST.
Tuesday. Yeah, I might be able to pull that off.
Yeah, now you should chill a bit too, Numbskull.
Should I?
You should.
You should. I actually just got done subscribing to you. I didn't even know who you were other than through chat. I didn't realize that you did any streaming.
I'm just the Numbskull. I actually do a couple of shows now. I do the Great Debate, which, sorry to say, I usually hold Monday morning, not this week because of the weekend, and Wednesday and Friday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I do the Numbed Wasteland with Data Wasteland on Saturday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then I do what's called the Shooting the Crap stream, and those are random. They're kind of like this. It's just chat, talk about something, either bring somebody in or just randomly talk for a while about something that's on my mind.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you're anchored. So 2 of the 3 shows are actually anchored to a time slot.
Yeah. The Great Debate I do 3 times a week now to 2 different time slots to get different kinds of guests. And then the Saturday night show is a regular now.
Well, if you're talking about people who've been on Pornhub, then I'll be happy to come on.
I've had people who are now on Pornhub on as guests. I have anybody who's willing to come on or thinks it'd be fun to play the game board, because to simplify it, it's 18 topics. There's a statement or a question behind each topic. And when you get it, you just, what comes to your mind? How do you approach that topic or question? How would you answer it? How do you feel? Why? That kind of thing.
Now, are they crazy questions? Are they real philosophical, or like the whole thing? If you had a chance, if you had a what's the one of the great ones I love asking people? You see a train coming, it's gonna kill one member of your family, but if you derail the train, you're gonna kill 100 of people. How many? What do you choose?
I got to that topic. What show was I on when I talked about that? I don't quite get that deep, but I get right to the edge of it. But it's also fun at the same time because you don't know what the topic's gonna be. You could pick from transportation, video games, controversy, LGBT, mainstream media,
Hey, Numbskull,
sex.
Can I throw out a term from the times that I've watched?
Sure.
I think it's like pop culture philosophy.
Okay.
Because you're not digging too deep, but you're digging deep enough.
One of the questions from the show the other day, is an orgasm a commodity?
Yes.
Why?
Why is an orgasm a commodity? Because to be able to give brings you higher in standing to that other person, and the ability to receive makes people better because those endorphins pop.
I argued the same side, but with different reasoning.
It's all good in the hood.
But that's what I mean, is you can have the same opinion, but for a different reason. You can have a different opinion with the same reason. Sometimes it's not about the opinion you hold. It's about why.
And a lot of people don't want to figure out where your meeting ground is. They just rather shout from the parapets at each other. And if you can find some reasonable common ground, some type of understanding of, oh, I see where you're coming from, I see where you're coming from, then it's going to make the conversation a lot better and not devolve into a screaming match.
Do you remember the debates from August, September, October, November of last year? Just for some reason, those few months seemed to be a lot of internet debates.
Yeah,
Everybody had them on their channels, and it was
yeah,
always
that was before they christened blood sports.
right. And it was always, no, veganism is wrong because you need meat to have the proteins and to build the brain. You need the red meat. And then it's no, it's not wrong because we don't need it anymore. And your morals are different. Well, the argument's going nowhere because you're both setting your ground. So let's not argue that point anymore. Let's what is it acceptable to use animals for?
I would say not sex trafficking.
That's a good idea. And then when you get into that, you run in the risk of just like this. We've talked about one topic for so long, eventually that topic spawns a new topic, and now we're no longer on that topic.
Oh, by the way, I just have to do real quick. Redacted username has nothing to shill, so make sure and go and sub to him. That's one of the purest reasons to sub to somebody if they have nothing to shill.
Fair enough.
Absolutely nothing there. No content, no subscribe, no likes, no nothing. Nothing. It's just a blank little outline. This channel doesn't have any content.
Well, he's rolling like a lowercase G.
I do like to sub to people who get into the conversation and then have a whole bunch of links on their page sometimes, and then I'll go through their links and I'm sub.
Yeah,
it's not to be mean. I just look for resources for more. Think about trying to intentionally come up with thought-provoking questions, somewhere between 5 and 7 a day, every single day.
Well, I used to do I used to sub to people to find out who they were watching because it was why are you so retarded?
I've never thought about doing one of those.
Got it. This is who you're listening to. This is who's shoveling knowledge into your brain hole. So right. I get it.
Good reason to sub to me. I am subbed to Riley Dennis. I am subbed to Queer Kids Stuff. I am subbed to One Take Ash.
Oh God, I still my jaw is still agape every time I watch a Queer Kids Stuff video.
Go on my channel one of these times just for fun when you got 30 seconds and need a laugh and type in QKS intro numbskull and see what you come up with, and you will just play it. It's funny. I couldn't help myself messing with the audio and the video, learning how to do videos and stuff. And I separated the video and the audio, swapped the audio backwards, and then overlaid it back over the video.
Well, have you seen the guys running around who formed the Teddy Resistance Front?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. Those guys are hilarious as hell.
Goes.
I admire people who could take a joke and seriously run with it, because they're talking about, making plans and spec ops about invading the Queer Kids Stuff building and getting Teddy out of there.
Do you want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes? Have you ever looked up Lindsay Amer, whatever her name is?
No,
Okay, so Lindsay also runs or co-ops a theater in New York City for handicapped children, mentally handicapped children, to be able to do arts, which is cool. But then if you look into, keep looking, and in the funding, in the programs that affiliate back and forth between what she does and the other organizations she's tied in with, and they're tied in with Autism Speaks, which is well known for misusing funds, and a few other organizations which are kind of questionable, and some I've never heard of. Yeah. She's got a pass. She's got a liberal arts degree and something else, I think. I've actually done research into her. Okay, why does she do what she does? She thinks, and with her own logic, it makes sense, She works with children to make it easier for children with disabilities to be accepted by everybody. She's trying to make the differences between kids not be so different so that they'll be nicer to each other. So if you look into her past and what she's done and the activities and the things she supports, you absolutely see that she's in the right place and she thinks she's doing the right thing. And that might be why when you do watch a queer kid stuff show, they're not very long. You notice they're very short. They're not very detailed because she is trying to intend them just as a seed for a younger kid, not realizing that some of us are seeing that as the seed is a weed that's just going to take over the whole hill and kill the grass.
Well, and you have to call her out for agenda bending. I mean, what she does with the kids may be a noble effort, but now she's basically trying to turn them to her perspective instead of being able to just leave it out. I don't believe a child should be taught about sexuality when they're barely out of diapers.
I don't believe a child should be taught that because your skin is white, that means you have privilege over somebody whose skin is dark. I don't believe a child should be taught that because you're a boy, you have privilege over girls. I don't believe a child should be taught because you're taller or not disabled that you have privilege over shorter or disabled people. That is a core problem, to teach people that they are or not better than somebody because of an inherent characteristic about themselves, whether it's for the positive or the negative. Any way of saying that somebody is either privileged or disprivileged by a characteristic is wrong.
Well,
especially since, and I don't mean to keep interrupting, especially since it's not a fucking privilege. A privilege is you got a 90 GPA in your high school class. You're allowed to use the senior study room. Sorry, you only got an 86. You're not allowed to use the senior study room because it's a lounge for students to do well. It's a privilege that you earn. Being tall, being black, being white, male, female, handicapped is not a fucking privilege.
Well,
sorry.
My grandfather, who I deemed to be one of the smartest men that I've ever met in my life, country bred and born, always used to tell me that opportunity is colorblind. If you're not willing to put in the work, you don't deserve the rewards. I mean, and I think it is as simple as that. It's been made even easier now that a lot of these social pariahs have been stripped of the power of suffrage. I mean, once we gave the ability, I guess it is we. Once we as a society gave gay couples the ability to marry, to have the same type of benefits that a man-woman relationship have, that knocked out a huge building block. That's something that they can't bitch about. And people who are really obstinate and they want to find something that makes them different or that makes them better or that separates themselves from society have a hard time dealing with these things. We now have had a black president, so they can't say, oh, well, you never see one of us in the White House. Well, we did for 8 years.
I'm waiting to hear, he wasn't black enough.
Well, technically, he did smoke cools, so. Yeah, that's the one thing that I had a hate boner on Obama for his entire administration. The very first thing he did when he got into office was raise the national tax on tobacco products. That's the very first thing he did.
And what good has it done?
And he's a smoker. And it's not like he's going to say, you know, to the Secretary of State, hey, run down to the 7-Eleven and buy me a pack. I'm sure that they were literally, you know, bringing in forklifts, scaffolds full of cigarettes for the president.
Now, I haven't done much research into this yet because, well, it's so nice out most days. It's hard to sit behind the computer screen. But I've been looking mildly at this like economic sort of recession we're headed into in my mind. Now, hold on.
No. I'm laughing at worst. Adam, he's asking why aren't I blackout drunk by now?
Hey, I'm actually going to get off here. I got some stuff to do. But
yeah, I've only got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I wanted to get on stream and, you know, make sure that everybody knew that we just got moving on, you know. You and I, you think I've learned enough and you're ready for me to flap my wings a little.
Oh, dude, there is no heat. There is definitively no heat. And, you know, I'll be tuning in Tuesdays at 8 to see how things are going.
And there might be a time whenever I'm going to have you on because I won't have a guest, you know. You might be a guy in my back pocket, hopefully.
I'm boring as fuck. You should probably get Numbskull on.
Our Numbskull, yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean that's what
I think I subbed to you, so you should be able to find me.
You like you're gonna do good things, and you know you said all I gotta do is work on my Photoshop, and I'd be about as even as you. So I was like, well, you know, you want to do your own because we do have different ideas about what guest we want and stuff. We have different likes and dislikes. So there are times whenever you're just sitting there, especially like during Kevin Logan, you're just sitting there, gosh dang, why are we talking to this fucking retard? You know, so
I never said it. I was incredibly nice. I stayed nice. I stayed neutral. I mean,
oh no, you didn't say it to him, but you said it to me.
Oh yeah, I'm like this guy's a total douche. No, but he did behave himself, so you got to give him props for that.
Oh yeah, I think Kevin's really the only SJW with balls. That's why I like him. Is he ain't afraid to call someone a faggot, or you know, he doesn't even call him faggot. He calls him racist or some shit. But he ain't afraid to do that. Everybody else is all like they want to like try to play the victim. He never really plays the victim about his shit. He's always the one on attack, and that's why I kind of like him. But all right, guys, I got to get out of here. It was fun, and I will see you later.
All right, bro. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Yep.
Yeah, I was laughing because worst Adam I ever was asking if I was blackout drunk yet, and I try to kind of save that. I try not to be super soused every day of the week because I'm dirt poor. So I can only afford like cheap vodka like Newton, New Amsterdam. And, you know, if I get one of those a week, then life is good.
I got most of a bottle of Svedka in the fridge, but I'm out of Kahlua. I do have some orange juice today.
Well, I honestly would love to be able to save up and get myself a bottle of Blanton's. Give me some Kentucky bourbon whiskey.
I don't have too long left. I really should get something to eat for dinner for everybody. If you can't hear the televisions, and well, I know you heard that. My son and daughter upstairs watching a movie.
Are they watching Coco?
I have no idea what they're watching at this point. They got a stack of approved videos, no internet connection, and a DVD player.
Hey, that's a good way to run it.
That's a good way for a bad weather day. Since they're both sunburned, and they've been in the trampoline in the pool and running around the yard crazy for the last couple days.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing because I like it. The fact when kids have an imagination, and are able to actually use it.
I wish one could use it a little more, the other one a little less.
Well, that's what you get for the separation. Yeah, them kids just never grow up how you actually want them to.
You just don't know what to expect. They live on life all their own.
No, let's see. Okay, well, let's see. My God, have we been running that long? Really? Seriously?
I jumped in somewhere around you were looking for a name, and I was like, sure, I'll jump on for a few minutes, and that was before about 4 o'clock. So I've been here an hour and a half.
Yeah, and people, I still need some name suggestions. If nothing comes up in the stream, feel free. You can always DM me on the Twitters. Because I think that's going to be the roughest part of the show. I can
All
talk.
right, well, I can throw you a few hints. So the Great Debate was named such because, well, I was watching debates that weren't great. So I was trying to make a great debate by talking about the topic differently. That's how that name came. Just simple, right to the point, what I wanted to do. I wanted to make a great debate. This is the Great Debate. I'm going to make it that way. The Numbed Wasteland came from Numbed Skull and Data Wasteland. So the best ones, the ones that are going to feel the most comfortable, are going to be something like, what time are you going to do your show?
It's going to be Thursdays at 8 p.m.
Okay. So the only thing right now that's coming to my head is like Docked for the Night.
I was thinking of doing down the salty, tangy, licky hole.
Do a pun on your name. DOCCED for the night. You're doing a night stream.
Yeah, but you know, docking is a gay term, right?
Oh, no, I don't.
Yeah.
Am I gay? Okay, so
you don't have to be gay to dock. It's not gay if you're drunk enough.
you could just do simple. Dock for the night.
Well, I think I showed my did you see the graphic that I was working on?
I must have hopped in just after that.
Okay, wait a minute. I'll pull this up real quick. There we go. And screen share. Hopefully you can see that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, dock for the night would be cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the psychiatric help because I can't even help my damn self. So
that'll be my suggestion to you after streaming with you for the first time for an hour and a half. I'm gonna say dock for the night.
okay. I don't know. I gotta figure it out. Hopefully, I will get my brain from. I got brain jam most of the day today, so the creativity part's been kind of shite. I don't know if you ever have that issue where you're fully functional, but like you forget words like bread.
Oh, I've done it half of this stream. Like I've started trying to say a word, but it'll come out with the wrong. Like I try to think ahead of what I'm saying. Like when you read out loud, I try to think ahead of what I'm saying so I don't say something incredibly stupid, and that makes me say incredibly stupid things. Or say things incredibly stupidly. Like for person, I'll go yeah.
Well, but that's why stutterers have so much difficulty because they're trying to think ahead of what they're going to say, and then it all jams up. I did 4 years of speech therapy, and that was their big explanation of why I stuttered.
Oh, well, then I need to stop thinking and then I'll stop stuttering.
I had one therapist that said, bullet point what you want to say, but don't think about exactly what you want to say.
You know what's funny? That works best for me when I do videos. Like if I put a script together, if I write the whole script out, it'll flow after a couple of trials. But if I bullet point what I want to say and put the notes of what I want to make sure I say, I kind of read that ahead and kind of lean in that direction, and it flows smoother. It feels like to me.
Oh yeah, you just have to lean into it.
Yeah, so bullet points work good. Full scripts, I can do them. Like I'm writing a script for my next video now because I have an idea that I'd like to make a video. My last one was funny, I thought. It's about sex ed. It's called Health Class.
Yeah, I honestly don't think I'll ever do a video.
They're fun. They're fun when you want to point and you know you learn that streams are moderately distracting. Speaking of which, I really said I was going 5 minutes ago.
Well, I certainly do appreciate your time, Numbskull. Please do me a favor.
Hey, I appreciate being invited.
Please do me a favor and chill real quick before you bounce.
Hey, everybody. I'm going to type in the chat here. All you got to do is click on my name where the 3 red dots are and go to my channel and check it out. If you like it, stick around. There's always more coming out.
That sounds good.
It's fun. You get ideas in your head and you overthink things and you want to get them out to other people so that you can realize how stupid or insane your things are versus everybody else.
Well, and it's pretty much the best fun you can have with most of your clothes on.
Yeah. And with that, I think that's a high note. My clothes are on. I'm out. Bye.
Thank you again, Numbskull.
Later.
Hey, everybody. It's back to me again, and I think I've been jibber-jabbering on just a little bit too much. But I do appreciate everybody who has come on. I haven't enlightened myself as far as where to go with this. For those who tuned in late, I'm no longer officially with rolling with Sisyphus. He's going to continue doing his show, so please do make sure like and subscribe and give him some love. Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this here YouTube Twatters. And more than likely, if you follow me on Twitter, I will make sure and post updates with what's going on. I do have to rebook a couple of guests, so it might get a little bumpy. But I've got Beard Burying coming up as my first one, but I have to make sure it's cool with him with the day switch. And then got 2 big guests, really big guests coming up because I like Beardy a lot, and yeah, he should be considered as a big guest. We've got Harry Manfredini, who is a music composer extraordinaire. You know his work from about 100 movies, including creating the Friday the 13th theme. Also, we have coming up after that, a couple weeks after that, is going to be Kyle Abear, who is the, he does a ton of voices, but he's mostly known for doing the narrator in Dragon Ball Z in the English dub. And that's going to be a real interesting conversation, too. Also on the back burner, because we never want to go too far ahead. We're going to have on Ichabod Orange. We're going to have Cognitive Thought, American Gadfly. Magog's going to be swinging by, popping in for more Scar. I hope Vamp Candy's in a better place because she said she'd be happy to come on, but we want to make sure that everything's chill with that, because I'll be honest with you, I certainly won't tolerate anybody harassing the shit out of her in the chat, because what my show is about and what Rolling with Sisyphus is about is getting to know your favorite celebrities and e-celebs. Taking the time to find out what makes them tick, why they do what they do, and even a little bit of BTS, how they do what they do. And I think that's where the whole point of common conversation comes in, where you get to know these people, you get to figure them out, and if you're already fans, you're going to like them even more. And I believe that is the best explanation of why you would want to talk to somebody in the first place. Unless you're drunk and you're at a bar and you're looking to get laid and it's 10 minutes till closing time and they've done last call. Then, completely different situation. But I certainly would like to thank Merc for coming on. Also, I'd like to thank Numbskull for coming on. And, of course, my partner BTS, Sisyphus. Check them all out. There are channels that are available to most of them. Merc's going to get his started up soon, or at least he better. Or else we're going to have to have a blanket party for him. Give him some encouragement, if you know what I mean. Oh, nice, nice. He's saying he's got the drone up. That's going to be some fun footage, man. I think I think you're going to have a hell of a gimmick there with you. I can't say that I ever had one or participated in one, because the statute of limitations has not exhausted itself. So for myself, Doc Griffin, thank you very much for coming out. Once again, if you got any thoughts about what we need to call my new show, please feel free. Drop me a DM or post something up for me on the Twitters. You could do it here on YouTube, but I rarely read comments there since I never have any. But my name is Doc Griffin. And, of course, please do have a nice, smooth, cool, and semi-inebriated evening. So goodbye, y'all.